The world is shifting gears. As we move from fossil fuels to electric vehicles, one metal has become more valuable than almost any other: nickel.
It is the secret ingredient in high-performance batteries, providing the energy density needed for long-range travel.
But where does it all come from? The answer points to one nation: Indonesia. In just a few years, Indonesia has transformed from an ore exporter to a global refining powerhouse. This is the story of how Indonesia secured its grip on the future of transportation. To understand Indonesia's power, look at the ground. Indonesia holds approximately 21 million metric tons of nickel reserves. That is roughly 1/5 of the entire world's supply. While other nations have nickel, Indonesia's deposits are uniquely suited for large-scale extraction. These laterite ores require specialized processing, but the sheer volume makes Indonesia indispensable. Without Indonesian nickel, the world's EV ambitions would likely grind to a halt. In 2020, Indonesia shocked the global market by banning the export of raw nickel ore. The goal was simple: stop being a raw material source and become a manufacturing hub. This policy of downstreaming forced international companies to build smelters and factories inside Indonesia. Billions of dollars in foreign investment poured into provinces like Central Sulawesi and North Maluku. The gamble paid off, making Indonesia the center of the nickel universe. By 2023, that number surged to an estimated 1.8 million metric tons. This growth has fundamentally reshaped the global market, accounting for roughly half of the world's total production. It is outpacing all other major producers, like the Philippines, Russia, and Canada combined. The scale of this shift is unprecedented in the history of industrial metals. Indonesia's rise didn't happen alone. China has been the primary investor, pouring billions into the country. Chinese companies like Tsingshan and Huayu Cobalt brought the technology and capital needed for refining. They transformed regions like Morowali into massive industrial cities in the middle of the jungle. This partnership has created a powerful, integrated supply chain from the mine to the refinery. But this dominance has also raised concerns about global supply chain concentration. Not all nickel is created equal. For years, Indonesia primarily produced Class II nickel. But EV batteries require high-purity Class I nickel to achieve long-range performance. Indonesia is now converting low-grade ore into battery-grade material using advanced smelting. This breakthrough allows Indonesia to capture the most lucrative part of the EV supply chain. The barrier between steel nickel and battery nickel is officially gone. High-pressure acid leaching, or HPAL, is the key technology behind the boom. It allows processors to extract nickel and cobalt from low-grade laterite ores. While complex and expensive, HPAL plants are popping up across Indonesia. These plants transform red mud into the high-purity chemicals that power a Tesla or a BYD. HPAL has turned what was once considered waste into the world's most sought-after metal. But the nickel boom comes with a heavy price. Vast areas of tropical rainforest are being cleared. This expansion threatens some of the world's most biodiverse ecosystems and rare wildlife. Environmentalists warn of the impact on local water sources and critical coral reefs. The massive amount of waste, known as tailings, presents a major storage challenge. For the EV industry, the challenge is ensuring the green transition isn't built on environmental destruction. There is a carbon paradox in Indonesia's nickel. The process often relies on coal-fired power plants. Because these industrial parks are remote, they build their own coal plants for consistent energy. This makes Indonesian nickel more carbon-intensive than nickel produced in Canada or Australia.
As EV manufacturers face stricter ESG standards, this high carbon footprint is becoming a liability.
Indonesia must now find a way to transition its smelters to renewable energy to stay competitive.
Success has a side effect: oversupply. The massive volume of Indonesian nickel caused prices to plummet. Global prices fell by more than 40% from their peak, shaking the entire industry. This forced high-cost mines in Australia and New Caledonia to shut down operations. Indonesia's low labor and energy costs allow its producers to remain profitable even at these levels.
The price war has left Indonesia as the undisputed king of the nickel market. Industrial parks have created hundreds of thousands of jobs, transforming local economies. But it hasn't been without friction. The influx of foreign workers has led to tensions. Concerns over safety standards and labor rights have sparked protests and calls for reform. The Indonesian government is under pressure to ensure that the boom benefits all citizens fairly. Building a sustainable industry means protecting the people behind the production. The world's biggest EV makers can't ignore Indonesia. Rumors of a Tesla factory have swirled for years. Tesla and others have already signed multi-billion-dollar deals to secure high-purity nickel. But Indonesia is using this leverage to demand more. They want car manufacturing on their soil. The goal is to move from being a mine to being a factory for the entire world. Whoever wins the Indonesia deal secures their future in the electric age. The U.S. Inflation Reduction Act, or IRA, complicates things for Indonesia. To get U.S. tax credits, minerals must come from countries with a free trade agreement. But Indonesia's nickel industry is heavily backed by Chinese firms, creating a conflict. Indonesia is now lobbying for a limited trade deal to ensure its nickel can reach the U.S. market. Control over nickel has become a central battleground in the new Cold War. Sulawesi is an island of contrasts. Its jungles hold the world's most significant nickel reserves. From small-scale mines to sprawling industrial parks, the landscape has changed forever. Sulawesi has become the front line of the battery revolution, attracting thousands of workers. The island's economy is now one of the fastest-growing in all of Southeast Asia. But preserving the island's natural beauty while fueling the world is a delicate act. Is mining nickel the only way? Battery recycling is now scaling up as EVs age. Companies are racing to build a circular economy where nickel is recovered from old batteries. In the long term, this could reduce the world's dependence on new mining from Indonesia. But for now, the sheer volume of new EVs means mining is still essential. Indonesia is also looking at recycling, ensuring it stays at the center of the cycle. Mixed hydroxide precipitate, or MHP, is the latest buzzword in the industry. It's an intermediate product that can be cheaply converted into nickel sulfate for batteries. By perfecting this production, Indonesia has lowered the cost of battery-grade nickel globally. This makes electric vehicles more affordable for consumers around the world. MHP is the invisible hero of the current battery boom. Moving millions of tons of nickel requires a massive logistics operation across the globe. Specialized ships transport refined products to battery hubs in China, Korea, and Japan. Indonesia is investing heavily in new port infrastructure and deep-water terminals. This ensures its nickel reaches global markets faster and cheaper than its competitors. The nickel fleet is the lifeline of the global battery supply chain. Not all batteries need nickel. LFP batteries are now becoming a major competitor. LFP is cheaper and safer, though it currently offers less driving range for the car. Companies like Tesla and BYD are using more LFP for their entry-level vehicles. Can nickel remain the dominant chemistry, or will LFP steal its market crown? For Indonesia, the future depends on nickel staying essential for long-range performance. Indonesia's success is being watched by the world. It's a new economic blueprint. Nations in Africa and South America are now considering their own mineral export bans. They want to move beyond being just raw material sources and build their own factories. This shift could redefine the relationship between the global South and the West. Indonesia is leading the way in turning mineral wealth into industrial power. Indonesia has successfully navigated the complexities of the 21st century energy transition. By leveraging its natural resources, it has built an industrial empire the world needs. Challenges remain, but the future of the electric vehicle is being forged right here. Indonesia has secured its place as the heart of the global battery supply chain. Documentary created with AIStorystudio.com. Like and share. Bell subscribe for more.